Over here, we're just getting ready about to start here in a couple of minutes.
Y'all need me to do anything?
All right. Cheers on.
Are you connected to that webcam? Are you connecting to that
Yep.
webcam?
She's recording that the webcam up here. I haven't recorded typed in via scan. I'm just using my laptop where you can see the screen right there in front of us. So we'll have this recording from Zoom, and then we'll have this going on now.
Okay.
So we want to just work on. It's up to you whether you want to do the camera up or not.
Yeah, so you're streaming from that?
Yep, streaming from this and then recording it from there.
Is that a rendition of a movie? Okay, so it's be like a play?
I'll just record from like a different angle, so you can actually.
Okay. Then you have two recordings. You have the one from the chamber.
Probably not. We didn't understand what was going on, because I saw it when I was little too, and I was like, watching it, I'm older, like, this isn't as wholesome as I thought it was. Yeah.
This is the one that we got.
Okay, so when it comes to my videos, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go to YouTube and watch it, because I don't know if will they sync?
As far as I know, well,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
as far as I haven't tested, do you want me to test it real quick?
Yeah, let's test.
Let's go to.
Just see if okay, there's a play button. That's all I need to see.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Don't show them too much. Don't show them too much. Put them right over there. There you go.
They definitely have pretty old, that's the only thing I showcase it. When I looked there, I looked about it.
I lived there in 2020, and I got the pass.
Yeah.
And then I never got to go. But it was just doing it too.
Okay, yeah, I hope it was the first, that first happened. So when I was in Raleigh, I really loved it. This season was insane. That they were-
Are you doing it?
A
little slower.
Slower?
You might learn it years.
Woke up this morning, I got 2 hours of sleep. That's like.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. So the other 6 days a week, I'm sick. You know? I came in presented in this room yesterday to the total resource campaign with the
Okay, I
chamber.
think because it's, people would drop out.
Make a move. Yeah. So they're the ones who sell chambers to businesses. And I mean, none of them can push a lot of paper, you know?
It's not like I saw it when it first came out.
Make sure they were aware of all their sell to their people.
So I looked up that in Charlotte.
Oh, yeah, oh my God.
It's like $700.
Okay, we are up. So we are streaming.
Light.
I can fix the video.
So I was, I remember that.
So one of those where I was like, oh my God, I got a ticket, and then I just like
Came
came back, and I
back.
was like, oh, it's like lifetime experience, and then I got there, and it was the original folks, and so I listened to this track so much, and I was like, oh, these voices, like, I need the original track, and yeah, and so then I had like 0 expectations for 50 on tickets, and it like was, so now I'm like, hopefully,
Of course, not.
Yeah.
So I went to school at UT Hospital.
Really?
I
It's such.
So me and
It
another
is.
girl
And
and
man,
I
it's so
just
cool.
like
I'm young, but
tried our
old
dog
enough to like
and
the bar and stuff, you know?
for $20.
I go back
She's
and
like, you
it's
supposed to be my plus one. Who's the best shot I've ever seen? Wow. So
But yeah, that's where
I
I
don't
took the
know.
strength and
you'll know this
I was
song.
a tender line.
The best shirt that I've
Like,
seen is
competitive
if
for
we
this
were
kind
out
of
there, I
stuff.
don't hear my phone.
Two big ones there, but it's great. That's, that's what I'm gonna be back.
Yeah, just fun.
I'd rather school.
I
So,
know.
you know, out of the question, how
I know the library is so young.
It was cool for me to like drive through and see those houses. You know? That's friends that live in a bunch of like inspired musicians, singers and all that. But,
Ooh, really? Yeah. It was.
like one flight of stairs, you feel, yeah.
Their house was
My cousin was like,
super bad here.
the-
Yeah, like how
Oh.
I love this set.
Where are the flies?
Yeah.
It's
It's really brutal.
So I mean, that-
Yeah, just press the forward arrow.
Okay. Where do you, are they coming from? Where do they go?
They're not in the piece with type
Yeah.
Another band was in there and did
It's like, that's, they rent the car with the brakes.
I heard the, big picture on the neck.
Oh, yeah.
That's-
Yes, that's right. The vibration.
Yes.
So it's like it drives through the wall, it's like teetering and then falls off in the water. Yeah, so like, it reminded me of like Griswold.
Yeah. Getting everyone in the whole school. Taking over the house.
Yeah.
Close.
I saw like, one of the drivers, their mom. They came and once they were running on the group, it was one of those electric car corporate. I thought that was funny.
I'll let everybody know.
Yeah. Broadcast that. You know. One. It's like, look, say this for you. I was expecting some steak.
How's everybody doing so far today?
Well, good.
Everyone got enough coffee yet, or a little bit excited, ready for the day?
I'm about to go get some more.
Get some more?
Stand by, y'all.
Alright. Who stops at 1 cup?
No one.
Justin stops at 1 cup, okay.
Sweating
I'm
on
gonna go,
it, sweating
I'm
on
gonna
it.
check all of your cameras.
And who stops at 2 cups? Not sure. 3? Okay, 3. Alright, 4.
I'm
Just
Where's-
curious,
where's
I see how
two
it's
cups?
happening to y'all yet.
I get like just shakes in front of me, like, no, it just doesn't do good.
Y'all ready to have some fun?
Always ready.
How much do you drink?
I kind of sip on stuff all day long, so it's probably about 3 or 4 cups worth of caffeine each day. So my coworkers really don't like it when I have that much coffee, because yeah, it gets to be quite entertaining to be around me. So yeah, keeps life interesting that way. See, we have a number of folks here there at the social last night. You made it, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
I think that's what he's working on. But I would probably just go ahead and do it here. I think this one will come out again because we're already setting that time.
Yeah.
We had a member from the chamber who's going to try to introduce some of the information about how YPA and the chamber interact. And I think she ran into a little bit of a traffic delay. So I'm just going to check it.
I'm just letting you know. Yeah.
You on Facebook Live?
We're already live right now. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. So if you want to like say hurrah or something like that on the feeds, feel free to. So we're experimenting with this. We're hoping to eventually be able to get it on Instagram as well as to get it on LinkedIn and stuff like that, so more folks will be able to see it. We're trying to get better at the voting our game. I want to make sure y'all folks get the credit for being as important as you are. We wouldn't be doing this or be able to do it without you. So just want to make sure we give you a huge shout out with that one. So we also want to thank Lenore Ryan, the National Chamber, of letting us use this location over here. That's a great thing. We also have our great sponsors like Fast Signs, Bitcoin. We have
Bitcoin.
no, Big Cookie. Yeah, there we go. Big Cookie. You guys are sponsored by Bitcoin. That'd be great. But we got Big Cookie over there, and as well as Amplified Media. So like you see all those fancy little pictures that we have on our website. That's done by the awesome Jared Kay and his team. We also have First National Bank was one of our First Park Bank is actually one of our sponsors. We have a lot of other ones. We have Capital Play is also sponsored for this organization. Let's see who else we got. We have Gillespie Dental and a few other organizations. We have those on our website. We did a bunch of sponsor highlights on our Instagram page, so please check out the organizations that have been sponsors. We also want to give a shout out to those giving out any door prizes to us. We tried to do a video last time showcasing all the wonderful places, whether it's co-working or Samantha Evans that donated some wonderful gifts to us to get to our members. And great thing for all of you is that you're all here, so you're all eligible for those door prizes. If Door Prize Coffee has some.
Door prize coffee's in the house.
Oh, yeah. All right. We got some wonderful door prizes over here. We're either going to collect your business cards or we're going to get your names at the end of it. I got a spinner I can use, or we can pull from the hat, whatever.
Hey guys, the camera is sort of mirroring so it looks like you're looking at it through a mirror backwards. So I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I don't know if I can fix that part of it at this point. But we also have a recording up there.
Okay.
And then we got a recording over here, so we'll fix that as we go forward with it. We'll have to work on how to not mirror that image. So you ready to kick us off here, John?
Yeah, I'm ready to kick you off. How's everybody doing this morning?
Well,
Good. Are you awake?
yes.
And quiet. We appreciate y'all coming out, and I appreciate Gabe kind of giving a rundown on sponsors and all the great things that people are doing for us and giving us the ability to do more for y'all, and it's pretty awesome. So today we're going to do essentially a short series on business-focused principles of leadership. I'm going to kick off today with the motivational aspect of leadership and things that I've learned and studied, through the years that I've led in different arenas, I guess. And then Gabe's going to really dive into some fundamental stuff, some really good stuff. And then Alex is going to do his thing and get everybody fired up. That's what he does. Just get it. Yeah, so that's that. All right, so a little bit about me. I'm John Stevens. I'm the co-chair for professional development with Alex. I own Revive Real Estate Group, LLC. It's pretty much where I run all of my real estate. There's a couple other things I was going to add on here, but I kind of wanted to get it, straight to the point. Another thing that I do is I coach youth football, and so I yell at 6-year-olds for fun to win championships. But that's kind of a little bit of, if I get really excited up here and talk really loud, it's just I can't help it. So it just comes out. Wrong one. All right, so today I'm going to talk about motivation. You see, obviously, I put this picture up here so y'all understand, really what motivates me and what drives me is to be able to spend more time with my family, my wife and little kids and stuff. But the definition of motivation, when you Google it, for the business side would be the general desire or willingness to do something. And if y'all were here last week, Samantha Nivens dove in a little bit on doing something, and that's kind of almost one of my mantras for daily life. There's a lot of times that we can get in and study and do different things, but we never really take the action or initiative to push forward. And so something that, always goes in the back of my mind is, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm preparing everything, but now it's time to do something and just do it. So I thought that was awesome that they put that in there. So motivation is what drives us. You know, if you're hungry, you know, you're motivated to get up and go in the kitchen and make some food or make a sandwich, whatever. You know, you're driven to do that. You know, when the alarm clock goes off every morning, you know, some of us may want to punch the clock, you know, punch the snooze button a couple times and not really get up, but there's something that drives us to get up and actually, you know, get ready and get out the door and get to work, you know, and build that, you know, build our empire. So motivation is an incredibly powerful force in human nature. And one of the biggest reasons why is because one of the most important things we can do is identify our why. And our why essentially is what's going to drive us forward. It's going to, you know, give us the motivation to work. It's going to give us the motivation to start a business or, you know, build an empire, work harder to get the promotion at work, you know, whatever it is. That why probably has something to do with, you know, y'all even showing up today and driven to learn something new and something different. Now, obviously, you know, I wanted to throw this in here. You know, there's all kinds of leadership and motivational stuff that goes on in the world where you may pay $500, $1,000, $1,500 a seat, sometimes $5,000 a seat to get in. This obviously isn't one of those. You know, we don't have the pretty lights, the stage. You know, we have cameras, but you know, nothing like that. But our ultimate goal here today is just to motivate you to push yourself a little bit harder, you know, whether it is, you know, to reignite if you're burned out a little bit, you know, do something different to push forward and just really focus on leading at the highest level. All right, so what does a motivated leader look like? These are the first names that popped up off the top of my head. I mean, kind of coincidentally, two of the richest people in the world. You know, what does Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Tom Brady, and world leaders, everybody really have in common? Lost my spot. They know every single day they wake up, there's a team relying on them to push them. While leaders typically attract other leaders, they also energize those who choose to be followers or their employees, you know, and their CEOs get stuff done. You know, I talked a little bit about that. I was going to, you know, mention maybe some controversial topics whenever I, you know, talked about this. So I'm going to bring up something that's involved in leadership, and it's not to like push beliefs or get anybody to feel a certain way. There was somebody, you know, written in a book that's, I don't know, 6,000 years old that really made an impact on the world from a leadership standpoint. You know, his name was Jesus, obviously. He had a God-given ability to attract followers. Like, this guy would just get up and speak and people would just naturally follow him. I mean, there's, you know, written accounts of like 5,000-10,000 people at one time following this guy. What was really powerful about that and where it relates to these guys is, you know, 2,000 years ago, this guy is gone and people are still, the message is still being brought forward. People are still talking about it. I'm confident when these guys, you know, move on, people are still going to be talking about every single one of them. I mean, we've got SpaceX and Tesla and stuff that's like, almost feels like it's light years ahead of where we are. Now, this is a huge part of the foundation of leadership. It's challenging to motivate others. Everyone ticks a little bit differently. You've got to spend time getting to know your people or you'll never get through to them, let alone motivate them. Okay, so leaders project optimistic positivity. You know, Henry Ford said, think you can or think you can't, either way you're correct. You know, you've got to have faith in the decisions that you make. You know, as a leader, like, you've got to determine that's what you're going to do. You got to do it. You know, your employees are going to follow suit on that, and they're going to do, you know, crazy things. So a little bit of a, you know, something about me is one aspect of my business is, you know, attracting agents, kind of building a team. That's what I'm into now. So it's my job to really, whenever I meet people and interact with people, is to identify who's a leader, who's, leadership driven, stuff like that. If you're not leading in whatever field of work that you're in, but you aspire to be a leader, like you feel like there may be something inside of you that says, I feel like I can lead, but I don't know how. The biggest thing that I could tell you is to start getting around other people that are leading. Like good leaders are approachable. They're an open book. Whoever you start looking up to or whatever in the business world, whatever it is, make contact with that person. Start being a part of what they're doing. And they'll teach you, they'll tell you exactly what it takes, how they made it to where they are. There's something I mentioned on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and that to me was really important is, we all have a circle. We all should have a circle, and there's 5 people, I'd say, in my main circle, there's 5 people that I keep close to me that push me, motivate me, inspire me, all these different things. And I audit it constantly, and it's not like I'm judging people, but if I feel like somebody may be dragging me down more than lifting me up, I'm making some adjustments. I'm spending more time around somebody else maybe, but that's something I just wanted to drop on you is really pay attention to who you're surrounding yourself with when it comes to leadership, to build yourself back up. I'm trying to rush through this. Okay.
No, it was the same 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. The most important reason why leadership skills are important to your professional development is something. Does anybody want to throw out an answer to what that might be? This is going to be my opinion, but kind of a run-on question. Okay, so the most important reason why leadership skills are important, in my opinion, is because it makes you more valuable in your workplace. This is specifically maybe for people who don't own their own business, but as a leader, people start respecting you. You start getting looked at for promotions. You make more money. Ultimately, your business life will get better if you pursue really paying attention to building your leadership skills. Okay, so how do you become a motivated leader? You must start like today, start leading in every aspect of your life. I have these things called like micro teams or whatever, and that's to me intentional, but I have to lead in my family. My wife and I lead together. She's a stay-at-home mom, so we respect each other. We respect each other's leadership, but we intentionally, lead together. And then, at work, I have a separate team. And so, and then maybe outside of that, I've got another team there. And so I just learned the micro teams are really powerful. Whether you like it or not, you are a decision maker in everything that you do. In my line of business, I get hired by people to help them buy a house or sell a house. And they're essentially hiring me or paying me to lead them, and that's in that understanding. I really have to, I guess, pay attention to that and make sure that I'm doing, the right things and really sharpening those skills in leadership. I believe that you should create a daily routine, part of which, and I'm a night owl, so it's kind of hard for me, but, waking up early and starting a very structured routine, maybe in between 5:30 and 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, you can get so much stuff done whenever you start officially working, you've already had all that productivity and you're really pushed forward to finish the harder tasks that you've got to complete that day. Also, to lead, you must be coachable. Even the presidents and biggest world leaders always have an advisor or somebody that is a mentor or that's constantly sowing into their life, and they're willing to learn. They don't ever think that you know everything because that'll mess you up. It's important to learn something new every day. That's something that I live by. Even though I'm in the real estate field, I may ask Zeno a question one day about law that I'll probably never use, but at least I learned something new about, that field of work. Okay. So in conclusion, every single one of us were created to be leaders. We're at the top of the food chain. There's no coincidence that all the animals of the world, essentially, like we humans rule the earth. I'll just leave it at that. Sharpen your strengths while you learn new things. Study your profession daily. Celebrate wins and praise those that are crushing it. On your team, like every little win's huge, and you don't know what somebody's going through or how much they put into the effort that you ask them to do. And that's going to help propel them to the next level. All right, always pursue your passion. So I lost that. All of us are born, and at a certain point in time in our life, we start realizing that there's something that like ignites the fire inside of us. And that it pushes us. It pushes us to figure out our why, our dreams, everything like that. Don't settle for lack of fulfillment. Continue on working your passions, making your passions a reality. Even if you're not in that field of work of what you're passionate about, always study it, always stay focused on one day. You'll be able to, if you want to be an artist and it's hard to make in some places, hard to make money as an artist, never give up on that dream. Okay. I'll eventually get that. So I'm going to end with, on my part, she's an Olympic, Julia Moffitts, I think is how you say her name. She won a gold medal in the Olympics from Australia. I found this in an article I was reading the other day, and it's pretty powerful when you think about it. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And I believe that's everything from leadership to life and everything else. Constantly push yourself to be better. So I don't know what my timer says, but I believe I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the end of the motivational side of that. Next up is our membership co-chair, right?
Well, Communications.
Communications. I got it.
Yeah, we're
wrong
working
again.
on good communications with different things.
This guy's a wizard with teamwork and everything else. I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say.
Yep, thanks, John.
John, are you open to impact reflection or questions after your session first?
Yes. Or well, we were going to do it at the end, but I can. Are you good? Are we good going to the end?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, if it'd be okay with you, we're going to try to save some time for a Q&A. We're also, I think, is Jessica been able to get here yet?
No, she's not gonna be able to do it.
Okay,
We'll
all
have
right.
plenty- we'll have plenty of time for Q&A.
I'll come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. And we do
Yeah.
have pastries for you guys. That was supposed to get here earlier, but from All Day Darling, so feel free to.
Yeah, all day, darling. With coming with the pastries.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
Door prizes. More door prizes. My gosh.
So yeah, thank you, John, for covering about our motivation. I think you're going to see a lot of the same things show up in my presentation, but just a little bit different light. I'm going to be focusing more on concepts of teamwork. I call it cooperation because it's going to be more faceted to not just your workplace, but your personal life. Just things that you can do when you run into somebody or a situation where you're just not getting along with somebody. We're going to kind of give you a very practical tool of like information that you can try to get to know about that person to help keep you from making some biased assumptions or what we call a fundamental attribution error about those particular people to keep you being able to have that cooperation. It's one of the leading causes for toxicity on teams or among friendships or just people that you interact with in general is doing that fundamental attribution. We could dig into that a little bit. I do want to make sure I bounce off something what John was saying. Like there's a lot of leaders that have made that same or similar concept of the 5 people. One of the main concepts they say is that you become the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most. So you think about the 5 people that you spend the most time around, you tend to rise to the average level of those 5 people that you're around. And that's one of the reasons you want to make sure you're very careful about who's in your inner circle and how you develop yourself from there. There's a lot of stuff I could talk about with cooperation, but I'm going to try to focus on giving you an enlightenment of like where it normally applies. Where like you usually just drop into a team and you don't really get to worry about the beginning parts, the hiring and the firing part. You just work about the middle parts. Then we're going to go over some basic principles to kind of apply in those things and about like the basic questions that you want to make sure you go over with them. And we're going to sum it up with a little bit of a model about how it's an ongoing process. So let's go to our first next slide over here. So where does cooperation show up? Well, all of you know that you have your families, you have your friends, you also have your coworkers that you're working with or other teams that you're on. So you're going to see a lot of those different things, but the most impactful area that you have a chance to make a difference in, these 3 sections, when you're onboarding those teams, when you meet with those teams, and when you're maintaining those teams, whether it's just internal discussions or performance reviews or making plans for the future. There's other areas we can talk about how to prevent toxicity from entering the team and making sure it leaves the team. But today we're going to work about how we interact on those different aspects of the team. Like there was a Gartner survey I looked at in relation to this. It surveyed several thousand people, and at least 80% of those people said they had to use collaborative tools in their daily business. So it's just, we know it impacts at least 80% people just at work. So once you factor in all those different things, we know this is going to impact every single one of you. So I'm going to try to give you some basic tools to be able to approach that and build it with your team. So a practical thing, Patrick Lencioni calls this the personal histories review. So this is kind of give you some basic categories to talk with people about when you onboard those different teams. And we're just going to kind of go like some of the basic concepts of what's involved with those. I tried to, the nerd in me couldn't avoid doing the whole alliteration thing of having all the P's in there. I wanted to make it nice, easy to remember, so you can just kind of go, in other words, 5 P's. Now, how in the world did that go in there? We're not talking about eating your vegetables. We're talking about how to be able to get your team to be able to cooperate. So like when you run into somebody, you say, well, that person is just lazy. Well, that person's always late. Well, that person just doesn't care. That person's not nice. These are things to step back and ask, do I really know these things about that particular person? So I don't make that moral or character attribution to that person, but I make sure I get to know them first. So what do you need to know about each person on your team? Whether you're new to the team as just a team member or a leader, you want to make sure you understand their personality, their preferences, their past, their passions, and make sure you're clear about how you're measuring your performance and your interaction with them. So again, that's personality, preferences, past, passions, and performance. Knowing these things about the members of your team and people that you interact with will help you know how to talk to them, why they say things the way they do, how they show up, what they fear, different practical things to be able to help you better interpret what's going on with your team. First thing with personality, you want to know how they behave. So like a Myers-Briggs thing is going to be able to give you basic insight with that. You're going to be asked how they show up. So DISC profile is going to be able to help you understand that one. Like, are they kind of a confident person? Are they a hesitant person? Different things like that. You want to know what they fear. So like an Enneagram test. So like, what's their key fear? Is this person really worried about what other people think, or are they worried about being right? Different things like that. How they work with others. So like Patrick Lencioni's ideal team player assessment. You want to ask yourself, how do other people see me? Not just how I see myself. That's always one of those important things of like giving someone the benefit of the doubt. If you want that benefit of the doubt, you have to ask that question. Is how I think I'm showing up, how I'm actually showing up. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, it does.
So then you want to find out how they really hit their flow at work. A lot of people call it your sweet spot. You want to make sure it's where, like King Cullen mentioned, where it's where your passions and your skills center on what you do. You want to make sure you tie all that stuff together to make sure like you're in the right fit of where they are in your organization. Their preferences, what do they like or dislike? I mean, people. So, I mean, for years I thought I was an introvert. Then I've had like snow days or other days where I'm not around anybody. I'm like, I go around like, hey, where's everybody at? So an introvert's going to act very differently about people than an extrovert's going to be. The extrovert's going to get the energy from being around others, and introvert's usually going to be drained from those activities. So make sure you interpret someone's like interest in being around the group based on who they really are as a person, not who you feel like they should be. So you also know like places, some people like to sit in certain locations in a room because it helps them feel safe or doesn't make them feel safe or helps them feel like they're interacting with the group. Some people like big restaurants, some like small ones. It helps you kind of interpret their decisions better because you know who they are as a person. You want to know their past. Physically, I can give you a story from some coworkers. There's a coworker that came from up north. Then they interact with a lot of people from the south. Let's just say there was some conflict. And once we got people to kind of think about where people were from physically and culturally, they got along a whole lot better. You also want to make sure you understand where people are at psychologically. So that kind of goes back to the personality part. But it's like you want to make sure you understand some things about the things that they've experienced. Different types of things that people go through really impact how they interact with others. So you don't want to interpret someone's behavior directly because of the behavior and how it impacts what you do. You want to make sure you understand them. And professionally, you want to understand how someone got what they were. Certain types of personalities and certain types of behaviors are normally associated with people that get to certain levels. And sometimes that's how they got there. Sometimes it was a dogfight. Sometimes they just happened to get really lucky and be really good. You have your passions. What makes them tick? Get up in the morning or show each day. What motivates them? As John was talking about. You want to make sure you understand. Is it reward? So like one of CEO's models is called the motive. It's like, are you reward-based in what you're doing with your leadership? Or are you responsibility-based? Do you see yourself as a servant leader? Or do you see it as something to deserve for getting people where you got them? Different kinds of things like that, understanding their overall perspective. But performance, especially on teams, is a key place. You want to make sure it's extremely clear that people know what's expected of them, what's expected of them not to do. Make sure they understand what winning looks like in their environment. If you don't understand what winning looks like on your team, you're going to get extremely frustrated. You're going to think you're knocking out of the ballpark. Then you get called in the boss's office and you get let go. You never want to be a surprise for your teammate. You want to make sure that you understand how to interact with them, give them their productive feedback, and make sure they're able to make some different adjustments. We're going to go over how that fits in the model here in just a minute. But when we fail to go through these different processes, we end up committing the fundamental attribution error, which means we're assigning moral or a character quality to somebody based on their behavior rather than getting to get to know them first. So some of the principles that we can use to apply this, and I believe these are going to kind of build on what John was saying. One of them is you're either leading or you're abdicating. You're either leading or you're abdicating your role as a leader. There really is no middle ground. You're either making the effort to get to know your team personally, like he was talking about Brady does, and a lot of other great leaders have done, and knowing what their skill sets and how they impact things, or you're failing to really fulfill that leadership role. We really have like that. That's a hard, fast principle we can use. It's like either I'm investing in my team or I need to change my location. Or this what it's saying is you need to change your attitude or your location. If you've given up on different things, you want to make sure that it's like if you've given up, you need to change your attitude or you need to change where you're at. It's one of those practical principles with what you're trying to do with your team. Another one is that feelings are not facts. I'm sure if you've talked to anybody, whether it's a counselor or a friend that gives you different things, then make sure that you check your feelings against the facts of the situation. Make sure you look at the whole picture. Same concept with the people you interact with your team. You want to make sure that your feelings about them are based on fact and not just your feeling. You want to make sure that you're checking to make sure you truly understand that person, that situation, that you know the whole picture, that you know what you can control in that situation, and focus on things you can control. Another principle that we have here, and this is really important with the whole fundamental attribution error, is make sure that you give people more mercy than you expect from them. How many of you probably got cut off on your way here to this meeting or recently? Now, normally you're going to say, that person's a jerk. That person just doesn't care. What have we just done? We've already attributed a character quality to them or a moral stat sheet to them without even knowing who in the world they are. Do the same things about what they drive or how they drive. We want to make sure that we give people more mercy, especially on our team, than we expect from them. Doesn't mean you don't have those uncomfortable conversations, but it means that you make sure you show them mercy. And so how does all this work together? You see this replete through most of the team management and company culture things. You start with your assessments. Make sure you understand who people are. You make sure they grow in their awareness of who they are and how you interact. And that's when you have your coachable moments of making your adjustments in your processes, your people, and your attitudes. And guess what? This keeps going. You keep assessing your team. You keep making sure you become more aware of them, and you make adjustments. Sometimes those adjustments are, you talk to somebody and you say, well, you need to stop doing this behavior. You really need to do it. And you keep going to them and going to them, making sure they become more aware of what's going on with it. Sometimes that means they end up leaving the team because that's the best thing for them. Sometimes it's because they need the consequence. Sometimes it's just they were not made for the role that they were in. You want to make sure you get the right people, you hire the right people in the first place, but then you get to get the right people on the bus. Then you got to put them in the right place. And then you got to make sure they know what they need to do on the bus and how they interact. But this is kind of how that model works on there. So I'm calling it the cooperation leadership cycle. As a leader, you always need to make sure that you're going through assessing, becoming more aware, and making your adjustments. It's really easy to skip the assessments part and just make an adjustment because you're like, I'm tired of this. I need this to stop. But unless you really figure out where the root of the cause is at with your assessments, you're not really aware of the situation. So all of your adjustments are going to be futile. So as a kind of a little bit of project, we don't have a whole lot of time for this, but we'll go over some of this. Is a basic leadership questionnaire in Lindsay Young's book, The Truth About Employee Engagement. And it has you as a leader ask this question: do I really know my people? Do I know their interests, how they spend their time, and where they are at in their lives, both personally and professionally? Do I know their personalities, fears, gifting? He's new model, the working genius, skills and goals. Do I know that about my team? Do my team members know who their work impacts and how it impacts themselves and others? Do they know how to assess how they're doing? They know what winning looks like on my team. But one of the most important questions, have I or how often am I asking my team members these questions to make sure what I think I'm doing is what they think I'm doing? It's easy as a leader to assume they know how that I love them. But if you're not showing how you care for your team, and they know that you show how you care for the team, those assumptions are just fantasies. So we always have to make sure that we are careful about that thing. And so we've talked about motivation. We've talked about some key practical principles that you can dive into your team today and apply for creating cooperation. Now, Alex is going to come up and talk to us about activation.
Thank you. All right. Oh, man, these guys are hard to follow, and I don't say that often, but I'm really honored to be working with these guys. When you talk about a circle, talk about working with great people, better people do I have to work with other than John, Steve, and obviously the rest of our board for PD and everything that we do. So let's just kind of get into it. I don't know how to.
Just press that forward
Oh,
button.
I'm on this one.
That is the forward button.
Did it go through? There we go. Hey, I know that guy. All right. So my name is Alex Cardona. If you have not met me before, okay. Real quick story about me. Moved to Asheville in 2019. So, they were talking about moving your location. I moved my location because I had to change my attitude. I was from South Florida. It's a little bit different. So I had to change my location. Started my legal service business here in 2020. And then I merged my legal business with a bigger entity, and they do total business solutions. So now I sit down and do total business consulting, and I did that in 2022. I sit on 2 boards for the Chamber of Commerce, sit for the PCI grant. That's the People's Community Inclusion Grant. So what I do is I help minority-owned businesses get inside the Chamber of Commerce. And those of you who don't know what the Chamber of Commerce is, you will understand a little bit more about what it is by the end of the day. And I also sit on the board for PD for co-chair with John. So it's really awesome to have great people there. I'm the host of the Golden Key Radio Show. I'm a writer for the Envoy Magazine, and I'm a speaker for the WNC, first inaugural WNC Black Business Association. Okay, a lot of things going on, but I always feel like I'm not doing too much, but that's just me. Okay, so let me get my notes here because I was just ready to go. That's how I wake up, guys. You talk about John being motivated, ready to go. And that's me at 100%. These are some things. Aside from all those accolades and all that, that's all great, but this is what I do it for, okay? That's me. I love hiking. That's my wife. We've been together for 9 years, married 2. Now it's kind of crazy. This is my first radio show. Some of the companies I impact, I love. I wake up in life every day, and I love what I do. So let's get down to it. What is leadership? What is leadership? And today I'm going to give you 3 different keys about what leadership is. Number 1, you're going to have a very clear picture of what a leader is. By the time I'm done. By the time we're all done, you're going to know what it is. Number 2, you're going to know how to be an action leader. Number 3, you're going to know how to work really well with others. And if you didn't pick up something from what Gabe taught you, my gosh, the guy's a genius. Okay. That's why he's on. That's why he's on here. Okay. So here we go. Leadership as itself. Leadership is defined as the action, and I looked it up, of guiding a group, organization, or country to a destination. And then I said, man, that's a great definition. But then I have to look at it a little bit deeper. What's action? Action is the process of doing something. John was talking about this in his motivation. You got to have a reason to why you're doing what you're doing. But I'm going to put on another point here. You got to know where that destination is, because you could be leading them to a great place, or you could be leading them to the worst thing that's ever happened. All right. So in here, leadership at its core is a responsibility and a duty. It's a duty to be a leader. It's not easy. It's a duty. It's something that you pick up your shoes and you say, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. Effective leaders do three things. They process, they decide, and they act. And a great leader, it makes a difference. The difference between a good leader and a great leader is a difference between the time that they can go between those three things: processing, deciding, and acting. How quickly can I process, decide, act on every single thing that I do? Okay? Let's move on. How you craft yourself as a leader. Zeno, would you mind? This is our president, by the way, of YP, and he's going to do something that I always wanted to do for all of y'all. He's going to pass out some checks. Oh, man. So y'all going to get some checks. Enjoy that. You're going to write the check to yourself. You're going to write the check, and we're going to do a little activity with this. So how to craft yourself as a leader. Number one, start with the vision of organization, people, or entity. Again, it goes back to my first point. Where are you going? Are you taking them to the mountaintop? Or you're bringing them down to the valley? You have an option, but having a clear vision is really going to be the difference. Number two, create a why for the actions you will need to take to complete that vision. I love this. I'm going to go work out. That's a great idea. Why? I want to lose 20 pounds. Why? I don't know, because everyone says I need to lose 20 pounds. That's not going to get you to, COVID got me, right? That's not going to get you to where you want to be. I want to lose 20 pounds. Why? Because I really need to lose weight. Why? Because I have a chronic health disease of heart disease and cancer in my family. And if I don't change the generation of what I'm doing, and I don't change how I'm influencing my family, they're going to learn from me. And my generational curse of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, and all the things that have been predispositions in my family are going to kill me. Ooh. That's a different thought process. The reason why you have these checks in front of you, y'all, because there is one part of leadership that I think never gets talked about. Never gets talked about. And that's this point right here. Define who you will be if you had what you pursue. And that's why you have those checks in front of you. So we're going to do a little activity with that. Number four, take action immediately. And we're going to have an activity. So we'll go ahead and start that. So I need everybody to just kind of clear their mind. I know that you're getting a lot of information. Let's just kind of close our eyes. Let's clear our mind. We're going to take 3 deep breaths in and out. And as we do this, what I want you to think about is I want you to think about that question. What is it that you're pursuing in 2022 or beyond? It could be anything, okay? It could be a better life. It could be more money. Maybe you're starting a business. Maybe you want a promotion, anything that you want. I really want you to take 3 deep breaths in and out, and I want you to envision you having this. Okay? So here we go. We're going to take 3 deep breaths in and breathe from your stomach, right? Inhale and exhale. 2 more times. One more. Let's open your eyes. On that check that Zeno gave out to you is from the Bank of Abundance. Did you know that there's a Bank of Abundance? I don't know if you knew that. But if you didn't know that, now you know. And on that check, you're going to write a check out to yourself. You're going to write whatever it is that you saw in that vision. Whatever it is that you're going after, write it down to you. Put it, and this is where we're really going to test if you're part of YPA or not, because y'all don't know how to write checks. You should have learned this in school. And then we'll see what part of the spectrum you are on the YPA curve. Oh, we didn't learn that in school. Oh, yeah, you're after the 90s. So it's all good. So on that, write what you're getting. On the memo section or on the bottom, put who. Who's it for? Is it for you? Is it for your family? Is it because you're changing your destiny? What is it for? But in the middle of that check, I want you to write down who you become and what is different about you. Who do you become if you had that check deposited in your life today? Who do you become and what changes about you? Now, this is not for you to share with us today. This is your check. It's up to you to decide when you're going to cash it in. But the biggest thing that I want you to know here is that the key to leadership starts with behaving as if the responsibility of the blessing has already came. Start doing those behaviors regardless of where you're at in that goal. Regardless of what, and don't be a broke dream owner. We've seen broke lotto winners. Don't be a broke dream owner. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more. This quote changed my whole entire life. And it's from Darnell Self, $1 million ring earner in that company I said, Legal Shield. He said, it's not about the money I made in my journey. Rather, it's who I became as I made the money. It's powerful. Again, we don't talk about the who. We all go chase. We all go lead. But we never think, who am I as I do this? Big quote. Again, changed my life. This one? How did I get on this? Oh, there we go. All right, y'all. I'm going to be a little sentimental playing this video. I'm a Tampa Bay fan. When Tom Brady signed on to the team, I thought we had another 20 years of championships. We only had one. I'm going to get a little sentimental, but I hope that this inspires you. I love this video.
Every single day. Every single day. Every single day. Every single day. No matter what.
I get chills every time I see this darn thing. I don't know how you don't get chills when you see this. What I really want Tom Brady to do, and hopefully we're live streaming this, so Tom Brady, if you're on, be there. I want Tom Brady to do a whole masterclass on leadership. Forget his Brady brand stuff. I don't care about. I want to know what it took for him to accomplish the level of greatness and sustain the level of greatness and continue to walk from the game with his family intact, with everything intact, his body's intact. How do you do? I mean, look at these accolades. I'm not going to get into the accolades. You guys already know 7 Super Bowls, 20 years. Most of us YPA, we saw his first championship when we were in middle school. Most of us. I mean, I'm just kind of aging myself here, but Amazing standard of greatness. Oh, what did I do here? Did I do something else? Oh, it's okay. It's all right. It happens. From where I was at?
Yeah.
It's all good. All right.
From current slide, hit the from current slide button.
You got it.
Right. Back up. Yep, click on that part. No,
Which one?
right, you're right there.
All right.
And one more time.
Fantastic. Little technology. This guy, he knows all the technological stuff, but also you saw the piece he gave you earlier today. He's amazing. Thank you, Gabe. All right, here we go. I'm introducing a new leadership style, but before I do that, I want to watch another video. Give you guys another one.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
First of all, Under Armour clearly needs to sponsor us, as you see here. We're just going to pause it there. Under Armour clearly, that's a great place to put that. Under Armour really needs to sponsor YPA because we just gave out 2 different videos. Okay. But I want to introduce something to you. Action leadership. It's a new phrase because I'm tired of hearing different types of leadership styles. I don't think any of them matter except one, and that's action. So action leadership is a type of leadership style that is solely focused on the activity that one can control. Action leadership is the mindset around being a leader. Action leadership is focused on inspiring by maintaining activity at the highest level. Action leadership is focused on that check, who you become, not what you obtain. Action leadership is founded in the concept that success and failure are both the same thing. I'm going to repeat that. Success and failure are both the same thing. What happens in success is that you become a victim of pride if you stay in it too long. What happens in failures, most of us know this part because, we're growing and we're learning. But in failure, what happens if you stay in failure? You get depressed. The idea of around action leadership is it doesn't matter. Those of you who are in sales, you already know. I'm in sales. I love it. I close a major deal. My next activity is to call another client. It's not to, oh man, I did great. Those of you in relationships, I want you to think, or not in relationships, regardless, everybody's had somebody that they've been in love with for a very long time. I want you to think what you had to do to get that person. You had to take them out. You had to, man, you think I look fly now? You should have seen what I was looking like before I got my wife. I'm just saying. But I can't not show up, right? It's not I just married her and then, okay, we're done. I'm just not going to do anything now. You understand what I'm saying? Action leadership is saying, what's the next activity that I can do? What's the next activity? And focusing nothing more on that. Oh, there we go. All right, there's types of action leaderships. And I got this from Grant Cardone. Those of you who read the 10X rule or know anything about what be obsessed or be average, I got drawn to him because my last name and his last name are similar. But it's all right, I'm going to get to where he's at. But I love this. He has 4 different levels of actions. Number 1, do nothing. We all know what that looks like. Do nothing is simple. Just don't do anything. Retreat. Retreat involves this, and this is what I thought he said was really interesting. Retreat involves the fear of success. Because you believe that you can't have it. You believe that you don't deserve it. And so when someone says, when you say, man, I want to go make $1 million this year and I want to go buy a multifamily home, and someone says, that's insane. How are you going to do that? You can't even afford your bills right now. You believe that you're not entitled, or not entitled, that's the wrong word, deserving of that goal. So when someone else says something that's contradictory to that goal, you input that fear into your brain. You say, yeah, you're right. And then you go look for evidence to go prove that. And then what happens is you scale back your activity because you don't believe that you should have had it in the first place. So retreat is something about you if you find yourself doing that. Normal action. He said this. Normal action is the most dangerous level of action because it assumes taking necessary action to be normal. He actually refers to this as the middle class. And he says that if you're in this category of doing normal action, what happens is you think you're doing great, but you know you're not doing it at the highest level that you could. And what happens is you get comfortable. You just stop doing what you did to get you there. And when you do that, what happens is you become a victim to your circumstances. And in this case, he talks about the economy. Normal action. Massive action. Massive action, he says, is our natural state of being. And it's basically the way we were as kids. To be massive, go out there, explore everything, do everything. And that's our natural state. Philosophy around action leadership. A couple of quotes here. The applauses I hear on stage are never louder than the applauses I had to give myself. Kevin Hart. I don't fear the man that practices 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that practices one kick 10,000 times. Bruce Lee. We cannot hold a torch to light another's path without brightening our own. That's Ben Sweetland. And again, the main thing around action leadership is that success and failure are the same thing. Gabe touched on this really well, and I'm not going to belabor his point, but I just want to touch on a few things here. Because being a leader means you got to work with people, whether you want to or not. People are, I wish I can go sell the tigers in the zoo, but I can't. I got to deal with people. So there's some things here. Number one, valuing the ideas of others. Real quick, valuing the ideas of others starts with asking yourself one question. Are you emotionally secure? Because if you're not emotionally secure, what they say impacts you. What impacts you, all of a sudden you treat them differently. Going back to what Gabe says, you're messing up on one of those pieces. Maturity is the ability to live life with tension. Everybody has tension. Everybody has different things. But you know what? Maturity is being able to say, how can I compartmentalize some of those things and not make that impact my team? Again, same point Gabe was saying. Move to competition, not to move from competition to cooperation. I have this quote on my Facebook page. It's the best quote I've ever came across. It says, there's no nobility in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self. That's by Ernest Hemingway. Best quote I've ever read. Have an agenda when you meet, not a motive. So a motive says it's my way or the highway. An agenda says, how can we create a highway? Very different philosophy when you meet with people. Get the right people around the table. John talked about that as far as your circle. Get your circle right. He did great on that. Edification. Edify great thinkers. You kind of just saw me do that with Gabe, and that was just unintentional. But edification is a positive praise found in respect, honor, and appreciation. Maya Angelou's quote always sticks out to me the most. People will never remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. It takes a team. It takes a team to lead. Again, what John said, this is not religious. I'm just looking at it from principle of standard. It takes a team. You are joined together with peace through the Spirit, so make every effort to continue together in this way. That's Ephesians 4:3. Most of all, let love guide your life, for then the whole church will stay together in perfect harmony. Colossians 3:14. I say that to say the Asheville Chamber of Commerce, their motto is together we are more. And as moving together as we are more, these are the things we are creating: peace, love, and harmony. But not only for the people that we interact with, but for our city, for the future, and for the people that we love the most. So that's all I have, the information I have for y'all. We do have a little bit of a moment for question and answer. And again, thank you guys for being here. You guys are future CEOs. I've said that before, but we'll stay up here in any questions you guys have. I know John and Gabe, come on up.
I'm gonna go around and grab a couple of names of folks I wasn't able to get, so they're ready for the door prize.
Awesome.
While you begin with these two at Q&A, and then you can grill me later.
All right. We'll just, anybody have any questions?
Still have a question?
Yeah, let me just, Jessica?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so, not really questions, but just a couple of things. So for both you and, John and Alex, what was impactful to me is that and I really appreciate that you're bringing your whole self. You know, people don't talk about religion in the workplace. And I think that there's a great, disservice that people are doing, organizations are doing by not allowing people to show up authentically, which includes, you know, spirituality, religion, theology, all of those things. So I just want to say that I really appreciate both of you for bringing your authentic selves and how you're leading and showing up and not being afraid. For me, I think that for John, you know, I really appreciated how you're talking about reevaluating your circles. The way I'm viewing my life right now is like, I'm just Yahtzee. Let's go. New city. Let's go. So I don't have as, you know, family type of ties, but I really appreciate that. And another thing that I appreciate about yours, Alex, is that, you know, when you transition the conversation to self, I think that that's something that servant leaders oftentimes neglect is, you know, how they're evaluating their self. And one of the things that I'm also working on is with my coaches is transitioning from a scarcity mindset. So this exercise is like so critical, and I can't wait to tell some of my friends about it. I would love to get one of these blank checks so I could keep writing them.
Talk to Zito about that.
Yeah, I really appreciate you acknowledging that there's a real scarcity mindset out here, and it is putting a damper on people and how they think. I would be really interested in hearing more about you talking about emotional security. I think that that's critical. I think that oftentimes people confuse confidence with the security in the workplace. And I'd be really interested in exploring a workshop where, you know, maybe we entertain how to go from, you know, not secure to secure leadership patterns and developments. So, yeah, thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you for that feedback.
Yeah.
I don't have to be shy now. You can say, oh, let me put that up there. These are some books, authors. I forgot to put that up there. Authors that we pulled from. So if you have not looked up these authors or read these authors, great guys and ladies as well. Great folks to really employ yourself. And that's kind of what you were saying about where do you move from not being secure to secure. I love this quote: success leaves clues. Follow the clues.
Yeah,
I
there's-
realize I didn't give Gabe any love, so I just have to do that. You know, one of the things that I took away is that I kind of rebranded your thing in my mind with all the 5 Ps. I'm calling what you presented conscious collaboration. I feel like what's important that you really tied on at the end is you know, I'm interested in learning more about, you know, how do you recommend reducing and eliminating the fundamental attribute error? You know, I think that would be interesting to explore. And I think one of the ways that you do that is asking questions, asking what people's preferences are. I think a lot of people just don't do that. We force curiosity out of the workplace by instilling fear. And so I really appreciate you bringing that to the table too.
Yeah, I do have, I'm working on a side project for a friend that's trying to do a leadership development model where he's working at. So I'm working on some PowerPoints that do go over that concept, kind of trying to take a lot of the insights from the multiple books that Lencioni and Collins and then put together and try to put it into a nice tight package so that we can kind of review it, but that would be probably a series of workshops, but there's a lot of practical things that you can do, particularly with, whether it's Adam Grant, but particularly with Patrick Lencioni, or one that really hits about conflict management. It's going to be Nate Riggers, like conflict without casualties. Things like that, where you can try to make sure that you have those productive conversations with your teammates in a way where you don't end up just having a casualty of the situation. So it's helpful to study those things, to learn how to be vulnerable. One of the practical questions that builds on that is most people ask, can you be too vulnerable? Or another way of phrasing it, can you be too humble? Can you like let people drive you over too much? The reality is, if you're open in a productive way to healthy people, you really can't. If you have too many problems that you're admitting, that's more of a question of, are you in the right bus or on the right seat of the bus? Than it is a question of whether you're too vulnerable. So it's like, that's kind of like where we have to kind of put that perspective is like, if I'm aware of all my problems and my problems are really mounting, I may not be in the right seat in the bus. I may need to switch the seat in the bus or the bus that I'm on. Does that kind of address where you're going with that?
Yes, thank you.
Just to kind of add, one thing we say on our leadership team is get curious, not furious. Either think Covey or Drucker. We love both of them. But that's just one thing that we constantly say, whether it's personal or what, but like it's kind of a mantra in our workplace to help us do the big things.
I'll chime in. You guys talked about making sure your team, you try to learn what they're looking for in their future, how, what their interests are outside of work, because you want to keep them on your team if they're good, especially if they're a good contributor. And I will say, for anybody working for someone, don't wait on your boss to ask you those questions. Go meet with them and explain to them, listen, this is my plan over the next few years. I think you'll find a lot of times, not all bosses are asking those questions. Maybe you can help them grow by bringing it to their attention. They should be, but also don't wait on them to come to you for that. Because if it's not a good fit, you want to find out now.
If they're not willing to have that conversation with you, that probably means you're on the wrong bus.
That's right.
I don't mean to be mean to any bosses out there that aren't willing to have the conversation, but the reality is you're on the wrong bus if your leader won't have that conversation with you. And I think Katie had a question to follow up with that.
I don't really have a question, it's more of a suggestion. Sorry, I have a lot of coffee, so I feel a little generally now, but
It's good.
long story long, I think you'd be a great guest speaker. So if you guys are open to other people speaking on your team, I don't know, I just enjoyed listening to you about background in recruiting, so.
Yeah.
that's
We
it.
are always looking for speakers. It's what we do, and we have a big plan, big goal to put on a convention soon with just straight personal development, impactful. And we're going to talk about maybe even highlighting some of the other things, because if you come to all three of our events, our social events for you to make friends,
Sure.
or this event is for you to grow your mind, grow your soul, become a better person. And our volunteer events is to take what we give you and put it in action and really give back to our community. So we're looking at doing bigger things within YPA and really just expanding where we're going so we can impact more.
Sure.
So,
Not to discredit everything that you
oh no,
said.
always looking, always,
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
always looking.
And I like your blue suede shoes.
Thank you. I had it for a minute. I'm glad I still fit in them. Thank you. Appreciate it. Awesome.
I got all the names on here, so if
Fantastic.
Door Prize Poppy is ready to rock and roll.
The Door Prize Poppy is always ready to go. So you guys know in these streets, they call me Door Prize Poppy. That's how I do it. So I'm out there, getting door prizes because you should be rewarded for being out here. So I don't know which one we're going to give out first. We may not give out all of these, and everyone should have got. Good to see you. Be blessed, man. Everyone should have got a free day pass at Focal Point Coworking. I don't know if you did or did not, but if you didn't, we'll just leave them there and then we'll pass them out. All right, so go ahead and hit me with my first one.
All right, we are spinning the spinner wheel.
What we're going for.
First winner is Cody.
Come on down, Cody. I'm gonna let you just kind of say what you want. Because I figure if I give people stuff, they end up bartering.
All right.
We got a few things here. We have, real quick, we have Radius Chiropractic, the Plug Chiropractic. We have the Plug Chiropractic here, so Dr. Shanice is over there. A look at Asheville, Sunset Martial Arts, DJ's Pickles, Wax It for Mimi, some soap code, and what do we got there? Candy Stone, as well as, oh, there are. Take it with you.
Going to the, press.
Go ahead, go ahead. All right. Oh. So Mimi is gonna pass something out. Let Mimi tell you what she does. Go ahead.
One Kayla.
Kayla,
So
sorry.
Mimi owns.
Mimi owns, yeah. That's right.
I'm the center manager at your wax center.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're here just to pass out free waxes and go on. And it's kind of that time of the month or the year.
The year, yeah, that might be a better way.
Okay, yeah, that's it's the time of the year where you want to try wax.
Ready for your next one?
Was that?
Zeno, you gotta tell me how that works out for you.
Good luck.
No.
I'll pick mine up tomorrow at 1 for my appointment.
Hey, y'all, real quick, we got 29 pastries, cookies, type things, and at least like 25 people in here, so I don't want to take all that home.
No, we do not.
Grab it, eat it, take it somewhere, there's a full box. Most of them are like individual. One thing I want to make sure I mention is the sponsor I missed before was Western Carolina University. We know not only have they been a longtime supporter of YPA, but they also got a good number of members that have joined us to get us to our record, over 400 members for this year after 11 years in existence. We're now well over 400, hoping to keep pushing that higher to give everybody better connections and serve our community better. So those that become members recently, we thank you very much for that. Those longtime members, thank you very much too. We look forward to everybody growing together, and I think Alex has some more gifts to
Oh
give
yeah,
away.
we have a lot more gifts. Come on, we gotta get these away.
All right, so you ready for your next name?
Yeah. Who we got?
Chase. Chase. Yeah.
Come on, Chase.
Right. Thank you.
We're just gonna take photos. Hey, Greg, pick what you want. I'm taking photos.
Action shot.
Tell you what, DJ's pickles. That sounds
All right, that's a whole bundle. You get all three of them.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pickles.
Yeah, I'm not being pickle. Oh, what? That's awesome. There you go. Perfect. We got it. Awesome.
Next name that came up on the spin wheel was Christine.
Come on, Christine. You got a lot of good things to select, bro. Awesome. Gotcha. All right. No, thank you.
At the moment, the spinner seems to be going up one side of the room, but the next one is Katie.
Come on down, Katie.
I am using a spinner tool, so.
Hello, hello. So you, that's the plug card?
Yeah, I don't know what the spinner's thinking about.
Sunsuit martial arts. You have homophobe silks, and then you have the European stuff, which is a massage.
Does it delete the ones once they do it? Like, take
No, I
it?
know which one's in there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Go
good.
for the money.
Are those
This is a massage for $10 off. As well as
but it's not like recruiting.
No.
Right? This is like.
yes. Take that and then. Oh. I'm not sure.
Ready for your next one?
All right. Almost. Yes, we're ready.
All right, next one is Abigail.
All right, we got the other side of the room.
I don't know what this thing is going to got a mind of its own, evidently.
That's a surprise. Okay. Ready? Let me take that with you.
Wait, sorry. I don't know what this is.
That's part of the surprise. Yeah. All right. There you go. All right, go ahead and go. Yep. Come on, Abigail. Awesome. Take it with you.
for all those who tuned in. Thank you very much. We're going to
All right, gang,
end the
we
stream.
got